need to be prepared. I'm an actress, baby.
Hey there, I'm Andrew Kobianko, and welcome to the Laugh and Disaster podcast. Today here we have a very special guest, graphic designer, and my beloved girlfriend, Larissa.
Hello, everybody. I'm Larissa. I'm that weird Irish girl that you're gonna have an hour of fun with.
Well, we don't know if it's an hour. Maybe we'll get bored in 20 minutes. Maybe it'll be over an hour. Who knows?
Really?
Yeah. So
I have a lot to talk about.
So I understand that graphic design is your passion?
Yes, graphic design is my passion. Kind of dropped into graphic design more so, I would say. I actually was going for animation and illustration, and the guy there was like, no, you'll be a graphic designer. And I kind of was just like, sure, whatever you think, you're the professional.
Yeah.
And here I am 4 years later, nearly qualified as a Bachelor of Honors graphic designer.
Yeah, I remember because when the day we met, you were drawing. I remember like Bioshock pictures, and that's one of the first things that I noticed. Like the things you were always into is like games and art, you know. So,
oh yeah,
would you say there's an overlap between those two things for you? Like, do you think there's common reasons why you like both?
Definitely. I would say when it comes to games, I get really inspired with graphic design to create things that are related to games, like box art and design like that. As somebody that studies it, the graphic designers, like the lecturers, aren't really a big fan of games, is what I kind of figured out. They kind of swayed you towards typography and all that stuff, but that no offense to typography, that is definitely not my passion.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like to be more illustrative based and stuff like that, but obviously when you're a graphic designer, you're kind of just a little package of fun waiting to explode in a box. So
yeah.
So yeah.
And so, would you say that like the area you're most interested in is like games and stuff? Yeah, doing like graphic design for games. I know like it's hard to choose because I know like you're not like out in the job market yet. You know what I'm saying? You're like at the threshold, almost there. But if you could like choose, what is the area that you like the most?
Like it's hard because I would say like I would love to get into like a game company. Of course, a good one that's not gonna like harass me or anything, because there's lots of ones out there that do that. But
Not to
I
name
also
any names, but you know, if you know, you know.
yeah, I also have a big passion for photography. It's something that I really love, and it's something that I have a big passion for. But like at this day and age, you have to be the top of the spectrum, because if you're not, you're left taking pictures of babies or weddings, and like, no thank you.
Is that offensive to you if you had to work as that? Like if you had to be a wedding photographer?
Oh God, no, like, no offense, like, right on people that are getting married and all that, but like, I just find it incredibly boring, just
For you to do,
taking
yeah.
pictures, yeah, of dresses and girls and grooms and all that stuff. It's just not down my alley, really, as someone that wants to be creative and kind of explore and kind of be out there. I do not really want to be trapped in a defined box. And I think that's one of my biggest steps now coming out of college, is I will probably be put in that box for a while, because I need to get experience. Experience is how the world is. You need experience to go places. So I will probably be in that box for a while, but I definitely don't plan on staying there. No. Yeah.
What would you say is your like favorite part of photography? Like if you like, because I know there's different like subsets people do. I personally really like scenery and stuff.
I personally, what I'm good at is scenery.
Yeah.
But I kind of would like to go darker with stuff, but I kind of never dived into that pool yet. I love dark things. I love skulls. I love anything to do with horror. So I would love to like just dip my feet in there maybe once in a while, but I kind of just never got there. Never really explored into it, but I would like to go darker, I'd say, with my stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, you could basically do like an overlap, you know, like where because if you're good at scenery and stuff, you could put like dark elements into scenery photography, if you know what I mean. Because I don't feel
Oh,
like that's something
yeah.
that's done a lot.
Yeah, it's like something I'm extremely passionate about is abandoned places.
Yeah,
I think there is just something amazing about standing in a place that is full of used to be full of life. There's people's memories that are made in that spot you're standing, but it's kind of a mystery because you'll never know them memories. You just know that there's memories made there. And I really love that kind of thought. It kind of excites me a lot. And I'd love to do maybe photography in like abandoned places. I think that'd be really cool. I see some YouTubers out there doing exploring abandoned asylums, and I'm just really intrigued by it. I just think there's so much history in that place, and I really would love to do maybe something like that in the future.
yeah. Because the thing is, I feel like all like places, abandoned or not, they all have like a character and a personality in a way. If you look at a house or whatever, when you walk into someone's house, you kind of like get a feeling of who they are, if you know what I mean. And I feel like it's really cool when people get to capture that through photography, be it like scenery or whatever, you know, like picturing mountains and stuff. Because whenever I see like a place, I'm always like, what happened here, you know?
Yeah, I think it's always that. Like I'm the same with kind of trees. I look at a tree, like a really old tree, and some trees live to like 400 years old, and you just like imagine how much that tree has actually seen in a like it's past my lifetime, it's past your lifetime that it's seen so much, and like if only you could like take the knowledge out of the tree
Yeah.
and just see what it sees. I think it's just really interesting nature in general like that.
Yeah, it's good. That's kind of like the picture of like the old oak, you know, like the oak is like all knowledgeable and stuff because it's around for like thousands of years.
Yeah, I think that's I honestly think that's a awesome concept. That kind of, nature is really the planet, and it just trees like keep us alive, and to just see so much. That's why I hate when I see people cutting down trees, because I'm like, there's just so you're just kind of ripping them away from how many years of being on this planet. Like,
Yeah,
so I just don't like when I see old trees being cut down.
yeah, for sure. What would you say is like the not most common mistake, but like what advice would you give for someone who's getting into photography? Because I know you're not like a professional photographer, but I feel like as someone who like appreciates photography, you know a lot about like oh don't do that, you know?
I'd say don't be afraid to explore. Even in graphic design, don't be afraid to explore. And if you're coming to the place where you're at the start of your journey, actually, yesterday in college, the CEOs were there for the portfolios, and I just pictured myself back in the day of just being there, really anxious, really nervous, and I just think, wow, 4 years is gone. But I just think to tell them, don't like let any lecture keep you in a box of what you want to do, because trust me, they will try to, but they're only doing it really to try help you for the industry out there, to try show you what the industry really wants out there. So I know they're doing it for a good reason, but try to explore, because I'd say it's one of the biggest times you will get to explore in your graphic design career is probably through college. And I'd say just don't let it go to waste, especially for your portfolio. It's amazing to have different stuff out there. So I'd say just don't be afraid, dabble in what you want. If it's dark, if it's bright, if it's uh, even what you want to be.
Sorry, we're experiencing a little bit of network issues. Hello?
Oh,
Okay.
hello.
Yeah, no, it's all good now.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. But yeah, no,
It's my
I
internet.
agree for sure. Would you say, because I feel like that's kind of similar to music in a way, where it's like you're getting tools, you know what I mean? Like they're giving you the tools of like what you need to do, but when it comes to how you use them, I feel like you should really go with your imagination, because that's a big debate between like, because in all forms of art, I feel there's you need to cross a certain threshold of like actually learning stuff. That's all like, okay, like you have to do this, you know. But then once you know how to do stuff, then you can choose like, it's like you gotta know the rules to break them, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, there's like a quote, or not really a quote. It's like a saying out in graphic design. Graphic design uses a lot of grids.
Yeah,
It's a structured design kind of thing. But one comment that's always made throughout it is break the grid. Kind of have a grid there, but break it if you
yeah,
can. Don't be afraid to like really like get in there, and like break things and just kind of do what really is passionate for you.
yeah. Because I feel like graphic design is kind of like sound design in that way, where it's like it is an art form, but it's not like being a painter, let's say. Because being a painter, it's all about your self-expression. With graphic design, you're like, you have a task to accomplish. You know, it's more, I think, about how you accomplish that task, that you put your own character into it. You know what I mean?
See, with graphic design, it's like that's why I'm saying dabble when you can in college, have a good time, because when you go out there into that industry world, you're gonna have a man over you or a woman, just like constantly saying like, "I want this, get me this done," and you're just kind of gonna have to suck it
Do
up
it.
and do it. Yeah, basically, like you're not gonna have much choice. He's paying your bills, basically. So I think
Hello, wait.
it's
Hello,
hello.
your video is frozen. Yeah,
Oh,
we're back.
great. I'm sorry, the video is gonna be just an issue with my internet.
Yeah, but I so you as someone who like likes, I feel like, a lot of different types of design and stuff. What is your favorite album cover?
Oh wow, that's I was definitely not expecting that question. I was not prepared for it. Um I quite like Dookie by Green Day.
Yeah,
I think that's a really illustrative album cover, and I wouldn't really change anything about it. There's some album covers I could be like, could you not do a little bit more? Quite like Dookie's album cover.
yeah, because I feel like with Dookie, there's a very like here I'll pull up a picture of the album cover that we're talking about. So like this, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say there's very like
Yeah, I
it's kind of like structured chaos, if you know what I mean. Like there's so many elements going on.
it it kind of slightly reminds me of like Where's Wally? There's
Oh
so
yeah,
much going on.
yeah.
There's
No,
just
that's
like
actually a
you're
really
just
good
like
comparison because I never thought of that before, but it's true.
you're just constantly looking at bits of information. Like it's an explosion, and it's exactly what it is on the cover. It's an explosion
Yeah,
of everything.
yeah. And if you were designing like album covers, what kind of style would you say you want to go for, or do you feel like you should always go for like the album cover fits the music itself, or do you have like specific elements that you would like to use, if you know what I mean? Because I feel like some people just tend to do like darker stuff or more like cartoony stuff.
Mm. I actually did design. That was one of our briefs in first year to design an album cover, and I actually did the album cover by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was the By the Way album, which a lot of people don't really know of. I didn't even know there was an album called By the Way,
Yeah,
but yeah, like I just think that when you're creating it, I feel that you need to get some grip of what their music is,
yeah,
because you can't just go designing pretty stuff when there's no meaning behind it. There always has to be a meaning. Always. And everything to do with graphic design, if you show someone something and they're like, what is that there? Why is that there? You can't just be like, it's there for its aesthetic. Like,
yeah.
shut up.
That's
you
actually like
know?
an image that I really like. The idea of like you're just like sitting listening to like an album over and over, trying to get like the essence of the album and put it down into an image. Because I think that's the main thing with album covers. They always have to be like my favorite album covers. It's always because I feel like they represent the essence of the album perfectly. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, I agree.
Would you? And what is your favorite? Like, because I know you like music a lot. What is your favorite artist? Would you say in general?
You know this.
Well, and actually, well, like the
I
thing is though, I feel like you have changed like your favorite artists, as everyone does.
well, I'm a bit weird. I like Oliver Tree. Like I love Oliver Tree. He is like everything. Like I love his album, his new one, Cowboy Tears. I love his old one, like Ugly is Beautiful. I think just like what I really like about him is he stands out from the crowd because like all of the musicians nowadays of like the pop music are just very like basic.
Yeah,
Like they're pretty men and pretty women singing songs. Like honestly, that's it. Like, and what I like about him is he's an average guy. His like face, everything. He's an average guy, and
yeah.
then he just puts on like a bowl cut, some weird ass pants, and like he's just put together, and that's what I like. I like people that are different, and I also really like Grimes too. Yes, Elon Musk's ex girlfriend
Yeah.
or whatever, but I really like her because she's different. Like her vocals remind me of sirens, and not the like sirens of like, you know, outside or the thing. I mean like siren as in like that creature that swims in the
Yeah,
water that like drags
that would
people
like
down and like
lure like old like sailors and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
that. She has like that really kind of ghostly kind of voice. And I love that. I think her vocals are honestly beautiful. And there I'd say them two are my two favorite artists. I'd say Oliver Tree outpasses her by a bit, but them two people I really admire their music and their style.
Something that I think is very impressive, and that's for like any artist that can accomplish that, is when you're making music that's very different. You know, doesn't fit the mold, but you're still maintaining that like ease of access. You know, like where anyone can get into it. And that's I
Oh
feel like kind
yeah.
of is the case with like Oliver Tree, for example. Like he's very true to himself, and his music is very genuine, but it's still very easy to consume. You know, it's like a lot of people can get into for different reasons.
Yeah, it's been like I think it's either 4 or 3 years ago I found out about him, and it was like a game changer for me,
Yeah,
honestly, when it came to music because like I liked rock and I liked pop, but
yeah,
it was kind of always that thing where I had my own little style, but it was never really mine. And then I met Oliver Tree, and I was like, "That's mine, right there. He is mine." Like I was like, "That is the person I will admire till I die," because I just think people try to blend in, and it's even in one of his songs, it's "Don't Waste My Time," and he talks about how people try to blend into society and how he basically wants none of it. He's like, "You're
yeah.
blending in, basically go away. I don't want to blend in." Basically, he's like, "I want to be different," and a lot of people judge him for that, you know. But I honestly, I really look up to him for it.
I think it's because it's interesting that you say that because I feel like you're kind of like that in a way, where like with your music taste and stuff, and I guess your artistic taste, but I can't comment that much on that because I'm no artist. But I've always noticed that like you don't really fit into any like genre fan mold, if you know what I mean. Like you like a bunch of like random like synthwave stuff, you like rock, you like some like punk rock stuff. Like it's just all across the board, you know?
That's even me when it comes to style, anything. One day I'm wearing like a big black leather jacket with gloves, and then the other day I'm in like with a pink jumper.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I have such drastic extremes, and it's always been me. It's like I never fit into a box. It's my even my mom always says it. She's like, you don't fit into the weird people, but you also don't fit into the normal people. I'm
Yeah.
just in limbo. I've always been in limbo. I'm just like always there, you know.
At the
I
threshold of like, am I weird or am I normal?
Am I weird? Am I normal? I like prefer to hang around with weird people because I'd say they'd understand me more. And do not take offense when I say weird. Weird to me is like one of those things that I actually find it a positive word when a lot of people
Well,
would consider it
I think it's literally
negative.
like just if you look at so like definition of weird is something that doesn't like it's not normal. It doesn't fit the mold, right? So like I think when you say weird people, like it's really just interesting people, people that are different. You know?
People that are different, I honestly look up to people that are different because it takes a lot of courage to stand out of that society box because society puts you in a certain box. It's even the same with like over here. It's like people want to be tan. People want that like to look tan with like a lot of makeup and stuff and I'm just the opposite. I've always wanted to look pale. Like I've always wanted to look pale since I was a child, and then my mom is always like, "Oh my god, you look like a ghost." But I always see it. She says I look like a ghost. I'm like, "Thank you," because
Yeah.
that's what I'm going for, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like like standards always change in society. You look at the Victorian times; they're all there trying to knock at a tan because it's like shown as like a workman to have a tan, basically, or a work person to have a tan. So it's like disgusted. Then we come here to the new society, and it's like everybody wants to be tan. Everybody wants to be dark with like dark piercing, like brown eyes and stuff. And I just don't want
So
that.
what you're
I want
saying
to
is that
look
at heart you're a Victorian lady.
at heart, I am a Victorian lady, and
Yeah.
anyone can come and fight me on that statement because I'm a Victorian dying child.
Yeah, no, but I think that's really interesting. I agree with that, and I feel like it's very important for a lot of people who don't fit that mold to have people that they can look up to, you know? And that's why I think it's really cool when like artists or like really anyone that you look up to kind of share their story, you know, and like tell them because it makes you like relate to like, oh yeah, like there's people that are like that as well. So like for you, who would you say is your biggest like not inspiration, but like someone that you looked up to when it comes to like whatever you do, art, you know, graphic design, anything?
That's hard. I quite like things that are made childlike but are actually really dark, like
Yeah,
Tim Burton style. I really like his style, and I quite like I don't know who created Coraline, but I know it's based off a book. That's what I know, it's based off a book. But I just find it so intriguing. It's great. Like if you read a little bit of the book, it's so messed up the book. And then they
yeah,
made it into a child like movie and I remember watching it. It's the same with like Monster House and all those things. I really look up to that kind of story that's made for children but really shouldn't be made for children. You know, it's going to keep them up at night kind of thing. I look up for that. I look up to that kind of that style. I wouldn't say I have a particular person for art or style. I kind of vary when it comes to looking at people. Varies on what I'm trying to tell people with my art and design. That's where it varies with people and who I look up to because there's
yeah,
loads of different styles I want to make and become, but depends on the person, you know, who I'm looking up to for that style to kind of try replicate, you know.
yeah. There we go, much better.
I am the woman of I am the woman of the night.
Yeah. No, yeah, but I get that because I feel like when you're approaching a project, anything that could be like even like a you want to start a business, you know, or whatever. There's always like what can I pull from, you know, where can I get like what I want to do from, you know, and for you, would you say that because I don't know what would you call that style, that kind of like dark but cartoony? I always say like it's like I like spooky looking things because I feel like spooky is different to like scary, you know? Like you said Tim Burton, I also think of I think it was Looney Tunes had like a Halloween special that I loved as a kid. And because it was like kind of like dark and creepy, but it was like a cartoon, you know, it was just like spooky.
Like I would definitely not consider Tim Burton to scare the shit out of me. You
Yeah,
know,
no, it doesn't.
his
That's what I'm
stuff,
saying. It's
yeah,
not scary. It's just spooky. It's spooky
his
looking.
stuff is spooky. Is a lot of different stuff is spooky out there. I love like the style of Corpse Bride and all that stuff, but I definitely would not call it scary.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't really put a name on it. Not that I know of. Maybe me and my bad graphic designer skills, but I definitely wouldn't put a. I don't really know what name to label it. Bar spooky,
Yeah. Well, I
spooky,
mean,
scary
maybe
skeletons.
it doesn't need a label. That's the thing, you know.
Mm. And
And
don't put a label on it.
yeah, but so another thing that I know you love is horror movies
Oh
because those
yes.
are scary. What would you
Well,
say is the best horror movie you've seen that isn't like, because I feel like there is the traditional like horror movies that are really good. Is there any horror movies you watched that were like not good in like a technical sense, but you really liked because they were like different?
um, oh God, that's a question. Um, See, I was actually analyzing that in my head, the anxious person I was like, he's definitely gonna ask me what my favorite horror movie is, considering I love anything horror related. And to be honest, I could tell you that I don't really have a
A favorite
favorite
horror
horror
movie?
movie. I don't really have one. I, as a person, am incredibly hard to scare,
Yeah,
incredibly hard. It's like people go and they're like, I see them online, they're like, oh my god, this horror movie, it's like terrifying. I watch it and I go to sleep for a nap after it. Where they're like, oh my god, I was up all night, like crying myself to sleep. And I was like, I honestly didn't find it scary, but like, I would say I would prefer in the genre more so zombie movies. But if I was to pick a movie that I do like, I quite liked if I could just get the correct name of it. It is it's the one based, it's called, I think, Emily Rose's uh Possession, not Possession.
oh,
What is the
the
word?
Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yeah, Exorcism of Emily Rose. I
I've watched
quite
that. Yeah,
like
it's pretty
that
good.
movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie. What? Because okay, and this is something that I see people debating a lot. What would you say is your favorite era in horror movies? Do you like older horror movies or do you like modern horror movies more? And by modern, actually, let's say like 2005 onwards,
Okay.
or
Because
before
being
2005.
honest, if you're gonna say nowadays horror movies, like, get out of here. Because, like, no offense, but, like, I don't think I've seen that good of horror movie recently that's released. Like, not that, like, in the last 3 years. Like, it's so hard to get a good horror movie. Honestly, like, nowadays, I mean, I would say I would prefer probably some of the older stuff, but really I am mixed in it. I quite like uh 28 Days Later.
Yeah,
Uh I quite like that movie. I quite like zombie movies, as I mentioned. I have a bit of a like infatuation with zombies. I know that sounds like super weird.
yeah,
Like, why do you like zombies so much? But it kind of stirs from like trauma of liking them. But yeah, I don't know. I would say older movies have more of a scarier concept for sure.
yeah,
They couldn't graphically make scary stuff because you look back now at like the
yeah. I mean,
older
the like
It.
special effects and stuff are
Yeah.
not, because that's the thing. Whenever you're like comparing, I feel old things to new things, you always got to keep in mind like how was it for the time, you know? Because obviously, if you're gonna compare it like A to B, the new stuff is gonna be objectively better because it's just better. But I feel like for the time, yeah, I'd say the like most recent horror like thing I've seen that I liked was probably the Haunting of Bly Manor, you know, the TV show.
That's good. That
Because
is good.
and this is something that I think is interesting because I feel like a lot of like Netflix and streaming services in general have like kind of changed the way people watch stuff, and I feel like me personally, I kind of prefer watching like shows compared to movies, just because it's more
Yeah.
in depth, you know?
100%. There is definitely more stuff being released on Netflix and stuff that is really good. Like one of the recent ones I watched was We Are All Dead.
Yeah,
It's zombies. One thing I can say is Asians nail it at horror stuff. They
Yeah.
really nail it. They like even horror games. They nail it right on the head with the concept and the spook and when to bring in that like scary moment because I find that Western kind of movies they try to do the whole jumpy scary thing where it's like look it's like everything goes silent and it's like wah in your face and you're
Yeah.
like I don't understand. I really don't understand the
Why are you
appeal.
screaming at me?
Why are you screaming at me? Like, why is there a woman in my
Well,
face,
I'd
like,
say
screaming at
because
me?
I'd say like even with that, like I feel like Japanese culture would lend itself really well for really good for that because if you think of like the stuff you normally grow up watching Western movies, and horror movies. I feel the main thing with them is like they need to make you feel uneasy, right? And things that are different always make you feel uneasy. So I feel like a foreign movie, if it's well executed, will always have that like uneasy quality to it. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be dealing with different issues and different subjects in a different way than like Hollywood's like scary movies would.
It's the tension, you know? It's the tension that they create in their horror movies. It's really good tension. And one thing I just love that to do too is like games, as in one game that has forever caught my and for the plot of it is the tension that is made by Red Candle Games. And oh my god, the whole thing in it is amazing. It's the
Yeah.
whole concept of real guilt in people. Because people, I'd say, are the scariest thing. We are what creates fear in us. Like, it's our brain that creates it,
Yeah.
and we scare ourselves. And I just think that game lends perfectly into human guilt and how people feel when they experience trauma and how the brain can really make you feel not safe.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
because
just think
I
that's a
feel like it's
perfect game
interesting.
for it.
Because that's the thing with both movies and games. I feel like horror movies and horror games always. I found them really fascinating in the sense that you're like sitting in your living room, like chilling, and you're watching this thing that's making your body think you're gonna die, like basically, because it's like that's the reason why you get scared. It's because your body doesn't know that you're not there. It's kind of like
Yeah.
why those like videos for like I'm very scared of heights, as you know. Videos of like extreme parkour where people are like jumping on rooftops and stuff. I can watch those. Like I like watching them because they make me like feel weird. It's just because like your brain looks at it and it's like okay, like I'm in danger.
Yeah, it's like putting yourself in the moment,
Yeah.
and that's why I feel horror games nail it a bit more than movies do because you actually physically have to play it.
Yeah, because it's you
And
experiencing it.
yeah, it's you experiencing it exactly. And actually at the moment one thing I've been really getting into is retro horror games
Yeah.
and it's brilliant. I was watching some Jacksepticeye play some like retro, real like PlayStation One graphics. It was like or two, like it's really bad graphics in the game, but it's the aesthetic of the style and the retro
See,
that is
that's
just
interesting because I feel
lovable.
like that's even the reason I remember when I was a kid. I used to play Silent Hill on PS1, and I always found it really like unsettling. And even nowadays, it's not like I'm scared of it, but I just find it unsettling because I feel like the old PS1 graphics kind of enhance the experience. Like if you look at Silent Hill 1, for example, everything is really like jagged and like the levels just look very unnatural. Like you wouldn't see that stuff in real life. So it also gives you that uneasiness because it's not familiar to places you've been to. You know what I mean?
But I feel like what Silent Hill nails on the head is the music,
Yeah,
cause
I would
they
definitely agree with that.
they really Asian creators of games, they focus on music a lot in their games, and honestly, it really pays off. Even when you go into say a room and there's a monster there and you hear the like it's uncomfortable noises
Yeah,
that make your brain terrified. And when you have earphones on and you hear it's really quiet and it's like kind of ambience music that they play throughout it. It's very gentle. It's kind of like uneasy but gentle, and then all of a sudden there's an enemy there, and it's like a chain ripping through it, and your ears are just like terrified. Your head is terrified.
Yeah.
Everything is scared, and
And
I just feel they do that well.
I feel like it does with all genres, to be honest. I feel like Japanese people are really good at making soundtracks. Now, see, I thought about that before, and I feel like it could be because they have such a long history of making games back in a time where game soundtracks were much more important than they are nowadays. You know, if you look at like Super Nintendo and stuff, like the graphics didn't tell that much. You know, it was kind of like you look at it and you're like, okay, I gotta believe like this is what I'm supposed to be seeing. So I feel like the sound effects and the music helped you get that picture in your head, you know? And I feel like even nowadays they've just continued that tradition of making amazing game soundtracks.
Yeah, because it was really something that had to be made up for when you're looking at PlayStation 2 games, because the graphics are just janky.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing more. They're unsmooth textured models, and that's what does make them scary, but nowadays they can actually put real life horror on your screen, like
Yeah.
graphically, like you're in it, like you're witnessing it there. The graphics are just amazing,
Oh yeah.
but I just find sometimes
Something
maybe you want janky graphics, you know?
something that like I was kind of disappointed that it didn't go through was PT, you know? The demo, cuz
Oh,
I feel like if that was made into a full game, that would have been like a revolutionary horror game.
it really was. Even the demo that we did get created like a new style
Well,
of
honestly, I feel like that demo
gameplay.
can go like toe to toe with a lot of like full games in terms of just like how good it was, you know?
Oh, people got like very inspired by PT, like very inspired, and a lot of games that you could see nowadays, you could definitely say are definitely made like full games that are inspired
By PT.
by yeah, by PT. Like, and honestly, it was such a shame to see it just like dropped like instantly. I remember seeing the demo and I was like, oh my god, this is a new Silent Hill. This is like
Yeah.
really gonna scare people.
Yeah, no, I feel like it
And
was gonna be like what Silent Hill was when it originally came out, but for like nowadays.
yeah, like the graphics and everything in it, honestly, beautiful. It was a real darn shame that it was dropped, and I feel it could have just been so much more than we saw in like a 20-minute demo, you
Yeah.
know?
I don't know. I always get a bit sad looking at like games that are unreleased and stuff because you can always see the potential that could have been there. You know, like because even looking at PT, like that was a very short thing they did. So if they were to actually make that into like a full fledged experience, where would it have gone? You know, maybe it would have been even better than we're picturing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, like it was a sad loss for
It was
everybody
a
in
sad day.
it was a sad loss for everybody in the community. We really had to bury it and shed a few tears for
Yeah.
it. But I suppose it's helped further on horror games today, so it wasn't there for no reason. I feel like it was there for a reason. We didn't get the full experience, but at least we got some experience. You know, it's better than getting nothing, you know?
Yeah. So question, would you say Silent Hill is your favorite game soundtrack?
Soundtrack, yes, for sure. I'm a bit of a weirdo. I'd sleep to the ambience music of Silent Hill.
Yeah.
As creepy and weird as it is to people, I love it. I think the piano and everything they bring into it is just beautiful.
Yeah,
And
because
that's not
it's
just saying Silent Hill 1, that's saying the whole
oh
franchise,
yeah, no,
sorry.
because I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
like horror soundtracks kind of go in the direction of like making like bad sounds, if you know what I mean. Like, and that there's nothing wrong with that, like doing the really shrill violins or whatever. But I find Silent Hill impressive because it's beautiful. You know, it doesn't go for the very dissonant and like stuff that makes you uneasy. It makes you uneasy because it's shaped in that way. You know, it sounds very I don't know what do you call it? Not intentional, but yeah, like you know, like it's very beautiful. It's the music is beautiful, but it's like when paired with the game, you get it. Like
But if you'd, it's exactly what you imagine. You say put yourself out in a load of fog on a foggy day, it's nearly identical to what your mind would imagine the sounds to be. Because
Yeah.
if I imagine myself in fog, that's like a perfect
Representation.
yes, thank you. That of what it would feel like to stand in the fog and to
What is
be
your favorite track?
terrified. Um, I like Not Tomorrow
Yeah.
very much. And I like, well, they say it's I think it's No Promises too. I really like. It's really good, really ambitious. It's also the one. I hope I'm getting the name right. It's the one that when Lisa dies, it's her death scene
Yeah.
that's played in it, and oh, like I get really sad when I listen to it because it's a bittersweet song. Honestly,
Yeah.
it brings you happiness, it brings you sadness, and then it makes you feel a bit empty at the same time. It's honestly a perfect help me
Representation.
replicate. Yes, thank you.
That
Can I
word is
just
your
mention to
enemy.
everyone? Can I just mention to everyone I am dyslexic and my words just don't work at times.
My words don't work.
But yeah, I honestly think beautiful. And if I must say too, when we're on horror games, I love BioShock. It's not
Yeah.
really a horror
I
game,
was
but
gonna
then it
ask
is.
you about that because I like that's something that ever since like I've known you, you've always like loved the Bioshock universe and stuff in general. And I think it's really interesting because Bioshock had so many different elements because like at its core it was a shooter, you know, but it had
Mm,
some very strong horror elements as well, you know. Like it's not a horror game, but it definitely has some
yeah.
horror elements. And I feel like a large contributor to that as well is the soundtrack, you know, because I feel like they use like old timey soundtracks and stuff, and paired with the kind of nihilistic kind of place you're looking at, it gives you that sense of unease.
Well, when it comes to Bioshock, I could really talk the whole day about Bioshock to anyone that approaches me. It's like I ask people the first question when I'm trying to make friends with people because I'm a introvert and I don't like talking at times is do you like Bioshock? Because then I have something to talk about with
Yeah,
them.
it's the natural progression. You go like, so nice weather we're getting, huh? By the way, you play
Um,
Bioshock?
You exactly because honestly, it's like it's a big inspiration for me in a lot of things because it was one of the first games I properly got into, and it's kind of funny because it shaped my mind a lot. And I remember I didn't play it as a kid; I played it when I was coming into my teen years, and I remember taking my brother had it for PlayStation 3. And I remember taking it up in my hands, and I remember looking and thinking how cool the box art was. And I was like to him,
Yeah.
What is this game? What is it?" And he was like, "You can't play it because you're a scaredy cat." And basically, I was a big scaredy cat as a child, and I would understand why he didn't want me to watch it, considering I got scared at Resident Evil 4. So
Yeah.
I picked it up, and I just remember it. And then now I look at it and I didn't know it was just a box to me, legit, just a box. And then I took it up in my hands, and now I look at it, and I'm like, oh my god, that box means so much more
That
to
box
me
changed your
now.
life.
That box changed my whole perspective on art and even design.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, it was a big inspiration for me. That game, honestly, what I like about it is it holds a possibility of an idea of what if, which is possible in the first game is what if we created a whole city underwater like Atlantis, what would
Yeah.
happen? And that's what I liked
And
about
that's
it.
the
It was
thing. I
that
feel
whole
like
what
it was
if.
such a cool concept in a bunch of different ways because it's if what if we created a city underwater, and also what if we got like all the most brilliant minds and put them together? Like, would they function as a society? You know, what the game says, no, it wouldn't. You know?
No, yeah, it's even like what I have on my Discord description is a man chooses, a slave obeys, because it's that whole concept of you have to make your own choices in life too. It's a general statement, in my opinion, not just for the game. You have to make your own choices in life
Yeah.
because if you obey by everything that everyone ever said to you, you're really just a slave to society. And I just thought, like, all of the kind of life lessons it teaches you throughout the game, even though I know it's pretty dark and it's about like a lot of brilliant minds getting addicted to drugs,
Yeah.
basically. And I just think, it's a game that if you haven't played it, people out there in this universe, please go play it. It's like
Yeah.
€11 on sale for the 3 games. Honestly, it will change your mind on video games. Like if I can play it on a mouse pad, like
Trackpad.
the little trackpad, you can definitely play it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I definitely would recommend it to anyone to
Yeah,
play that
because I also
game.
feel like it's a good like picture of society falling apart in a different way than games like Fallout do it, right? Because I feel like Fallout's way of doing it is very like just like it's the whole world, like yeah, like the whole world is ending, everything is falling apart, whatever. With BioShock, it's very like localized. It's like so we put all these people together. They were all like really smart, so they didn't want to do like menial jobs, because you need to think like if you put like all the smartest minds together, who's gonna be do the garbage collection, for example,
Steve
and
Jobs and Bill Gates all fighting
yeah, exactly,
who will take the garbage out today.
yeah, and I feel like it's really interesting because it's in a way it's a picture of society, really like of how society works.
Yeah, it really is. And honestly, I love it. I love everything about it. And then you go to Infinite and it's kind of like parallel universes. And you're like, holy shit, where did this come from?
Yeah,
It's like it just jumps out of nowhere. It's like, okay, yeah, so you had the first game. First game's kind of realistic to what could happen in society. You have the second game, which is basically a DLC for the first game. Like, let's be honest.
yeah.
And then the Infinite is just kind of like, holy shit. It's just like
But were
it
were you
goes from such an
happy or
extreme.
sad when you first like saw the because I remember like my reaction when you first saw the trailer for BioShock Infinite. Were you like happy it was changing like settings?
So that's actually a funny story because the first game I played was Infinite.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
So
So you
I
didn't
was
have
a
that
real
experience.
yeah, I didn't have that experience because the only reason why I actually got into BioShock was because my brother had it on Steam and I got a new piece laptop and I was like, what is this? And he was like, try it out, download it. And I did. And I was like, whoa, this is cool. This is really cool. I like because there's so much story in Infinite. And then I came to the first one, which I played. I played it on my laptop too, and I was like, holy shit! Like, what was I doing playing Infinite first?
Yeah.
So it was honestly like it was amazing. Like, I wish I could say that I experienced playing Bioshock like most people did. I was kind of like everything in life. I was late to the party, but I
Yeah.
got there.
Yeah.
I
Would
got
you
there.
be happy or sad if they made a movie adaptation of BioShock?
You do know they're doing that on Netflix.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. But like, are you optimistic?
I don't know. Netflix, like, I love and hate you at the same time for adaptations. Like, some of them are good, some of them, like Dead Note, are like insulting.
Yeah.
So, just don't make a Dead Note out of it. Make it actually good. Do not make like knowing like Netflix to make it Big Daddy like tiny or some shit because they're just like crazy sometimes with what they change.
Yeah.
But like if they really stick to the story, which I really hope they do, I would be very happy to watch it.
Yeah.
We don't want another Avatar: The Last Airbender movie. We don't need that in our lives. I don't
What
need the
is the
stress.
best like movie adaptation you've ever seen?
Um oh, definitely the Dragon Ball Z
Movie?
animation. No way. To be honest with you, I haven't seen
That many good ones?
amazing. I honestly haven't seen that
That
many
I
good
feel like
ones.
yeah, no, I agree, and I feel like the main reason for that is I feel like games and movies and TV shows the way they function is inherently different, so it's very hard to
Mm.
like transfer the game experience to a movie, you know, or transfer, or the opposite, you know. It's same when they make games about movies. It's like this universe is interesting to look at for like an hour, but it's not always interesting to like live in it for like a week or however long you're
Mm.
playing it for.
Because I love they're doing the same for Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I'm a true fan of that show. And the way they slaughtered it in the movie was like, why? Because I don't understand what goes on in directors' minds that they're like, okay, yeah, let's just change everything. And it's
Yeah.
like, when I read something and I love it, I just want to see a replication of that book or that show I've seen. I just want to see it with people. I
See, and
don't want you to change the names. I don't want you to change the people. I just want to see it how it is, you know?
with books, I think it's even tougher because I feel like whenever you read a book, like if you get 100 people and they all read the same book, they will all read different books. Because, you know, if you and me, we sit down to read the same book, what I'll picture in my mind while I'm reading it could be very different from what you're picturing in your mind. And I feel like that's why it's always tricky whenever they're trying to make a movie out of it, because it's kind of like, which interpretation are we going to go with? You know? Because there's always going to be some people who are just like, this isn't what I was picturing in my mind while I was reading that.
Yeah,
And
you'll always have people with books that everyone creates a different story in their mind, and that's the beautiful thing about books is that if you hear a character, you imagine it in your mind. But what I may imagine this person to look like is not necessarily what you'd imagine
yeah,
for the character to look like, and that's what I think is the beauty about books.
yeah,
Is it's your imagination creating the people in it. And I really feel that that is a tricky thing when it comes to adaptations, when it comes to books, because it's to try create something that everybody wants, you
yeah.
know?
Because that's that. Like they have definitely gotten it right for me, anyways. Before with when it comes to casting and stuff. Like I remember when I read Da Vinci's Code, the policeman in that, was it Da Vinci's Code? I'm always unsure because I read Da Vinci's Code and Angels and Demons like together. I think it was Da Vinci's Code though. The policeman in that, the French policeman. While I was reading it, like, cause I always have to like try to picture who is this, you know, and that character for me was an actor, right? And then I went to watch the movie, and they cast the guy that I was imagining in my head as I was reading the book, and that was like perfect, you know.
Okay,
But
that's obviously what they had in their heads too,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So,
Because I feel like it just sometimes it just works, but in a lot of times it just doesn't. As you said with the Death Note TV show or whatever, you know.
oh, jeez. Like, that's a disgust to everything. I'm sorry to whoever likes it, but go watch the anime and then go back to it. You'll understand exactly what I mean, because it's a good anime, you know. It is a good manga too. So, you know, if you're interested, go read it. You know,
Yeah, because I know you like both, but would you say you prefer anime or manga, like overall? Like if you had
that's
to choose.
that's a tricky one because a lot of people would prefer anime just for the fact it's easier. You're not flipping a page every minute,
Well,
you
it's the
know.
reason why people watch movies more than to read books because it's
Yeah,
simply more convenient.
exactly. But I don't know. I love Ito Junji's mangas, so
Yeah.
I but see, I think it's kind of weird. Maybe I've read more. I haven't read more. I'd say I've equally watched like both, like equally times read a book equal to a series I've watched, but you put me in the corner there, you know. I'm not gonna shit on either of them because I can't
Because you
really.
like both.
Yeah, because I like both. You know, it's kind of like that situation. It's like, you know, when somebody comes to you, it's like either you gotta shoot your best friend or drown yourself. You know, it's like I don't want to do both. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're like you have to do. They're like you have to do one. It's like I won't. I won't do either of them.
Yeah, no,
But
I always find interesting comparing different like media types, if you know what I mean, because it's the same when I think of why I like music so much is because it misses an element, right? So if you take like movies for example, it has all the elements. So with a movie, you're watching a story unfold, you're listening to the music of the the movie or whatever, you're listening to the characters talk, so everything is there, and you're just like watching as it goes, you know. Whereas with a book, for example, you're not. You're reading it and you're picturing in your head what it is, and it's the same thing with music. I feel where like you're listening to something and you're trying to picture what the music means. You know what I mean?
A movie is the package, really. It's
Yeah.
everything, you know. It's
And
visuals, hearing, and
yeah, and that's why I like
imagination.
games a lot as well, because I feel like with games, it is more similar to the movie in the sense that it's pre-made, you know,
Mm.
but you're actually experiencing it for yourself.
Oh yeah, it's like with Phasmophobia,
Yeah,
how I always die.
yeah.
I,
I have a
I
question.
just cry now.
Do you find Phasmophobia scary?
Okay, I'm a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm a wimp with horror games, but I'm a wimp. I found it scary at the start when we first started playing, but like everything, I ease into it. You know,
Yeah,
I slowly ease into the concept, and therefore I find it definitely less scary than I did at the start. Like I was getting people to like come in with me. I wouldn't mind going in alone the house now, but like, geez, I was like, I get lost in the dark. I was there like screaming like somebody please save me. But I wouldn't really find it necessarily scary anymore. I think once the ghost catches you, when the ghost catches you, I feel like they could do a scarier way of the ghost to catch you. Because just
yeah,
when the eyes and stuff come out, and then it's like you know you're dead. You know it's
yeah.
like nothing really spooky about it. If it like started whispering in your ear while you're about to die, I think I would cry.
That's the thing is, I
You
feel like a
know?
lot of games kind of overlook that. You know, I feel like death animations are really like a cool thing to do in games. Like I remember, I'm not sure if you've played Dead Space. So
No.
yeah, so Dead Space, it's kind of a horror game. Like it has a lot of horror elements, like a lot, you know. And a big focus was death animations because basically, like the creatures would like attack you, and depending on where you were or whatever, there's like hundreds of different death animations, and they're all like gruesome and fucked up, you know.
Yeah, no, like that is the stuff I would love to see in Phasmophobia. But I love Phasmophobia for the reason why they have it in early access. So any of the developers are taking, feedback, and I definitely think that would be a good feedback for them. Would be
Yeah,
some scary animation. Because, like, I'm telling you, like, if a ghost came up behind me and started whispering in my ear when I was about to die, like, and then like kill me in some gruesome way, I'd be traumatized
yeah.
after the death. I would be traumatized, and that's what I feel like it's lacking. I feel like it needs to traumatize me at the end. It needs to make me feel like, oh my god, I don't want to play again. I
Yeah.
don't want to play again. You know?
What? So, what is your thoughts on the whole like early access, like business method? You know, because I feel like a lot of games get it right, a lot of games don't get it right. But like, if you could choose, would you prefer the way it used to be, where game comes out and that's it? You know, that's the game ready. So you're not gonna get any more updates or whatever. But the game is finished. Well, hopefully it's finished when it comes out. Or do you prefer it comes out in early access, you can play it already and kind of like give ideas of what you want changed?
I think in certain game companies, of course, they have to release a full game. But I feel like for small little indie kind of people, it's a great way to have early access, and you're
Yeah,
giving people what they want, and it's never finished unless they like shut it off that it's finished. But
yeah,
it's never finished. New stuff gets added, updates come that really excite people to come back and play the game, because I think it's honestly genius. Because Phasmophobia, you could play it for a few months, and then, you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna, go play something else, because I'm getting a little, not that you're bored, but you're just feeling like a taste of something else. And you go, say, to the direction, you play Minecraft, whatever. But then when you hear an update comes out, you're like,
yeah. You
oh
come back to it
yeah,
and it's
an
very different.
update. Yeah, you come back to it and you're excited to come back to it. So it draws people. When people kind of go astray and walk away from the game, it draws people back in. And I think it's good for the developers, to be honest, to
Yeah,
have that early access. And I actually was one of the first people at the times to get early access for Don't Starve,
yeah,
and they gave me Don't Starve Together for free because of it. And I just feel it's a good way to support all them small indie like businesses and stuff. I feel like they deserve the support, and I feel it's a good way. I get new content, they get followers and money towards developing it. I think everybody, if you can, to try obviously support an early access game if you can. I feel it's fair for people to try be given an opportunity to create something,
yeah.
especially if it's good.
And that's the thing. I feel like it's interesting because I feel like a lot of different industries, like I feel like the world is kind of moving more towards that. Even if you look at apps like TikTok, for example, where it's more short term, like it's more like quick content. And I feel like that's the same with games. I feel like early access is a good tool because it allows the developer to put stuff out sooner and also get feedback from it and like adjust it accordingly. But it's all about what you do with it. With great power comes great responsibility. So if you,
Oh,
because the thing is, I feel like some developers will put a game out and it does like way better than they're expecting. They sell out like way more copies than they think they will. They get a bunch of money and stuff, but then they kind of like lose track of what they were trying to achieve. Because I feel like you also need to think, because listening to the people is great, but I feel like a lot of the times developers can't go too much by what people say, because I feel like a lot of times people don't know what they want, if you know what I'm saying. I definitely agree with like give power to the people. I feel like that's the best thing that the games industry could ever get. It's when developers will listen to what everyone has to say and make their decisions. But I think it's important that they don't lose focus of what they want to achieve. You know, and for you, do you think more industries are going to head in that way? Like, can you see, especially now that we have like NFTs and all that? Do you think like the artistic industry, for example, is going to go more towards that digital space?
oh yeah, like the art world is completely going towards digital stuff. You see NFTs selling for like a couple of grand, and you're like, wow. So everybody wants to be in that spotlight. It's money. So I feel like as we progress onwards, I feel digital stuff is always going to be there. It's just a matter of time to when most stuff become
Digital,
digital.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a matter of time. It's the same with like art and stuff, and even for people, you see people's jobs slowly starting to be taken away by robots and technology and digital things.
yeah,
And it's going to be the way of the world, really, that you're going to have some sort of robots and stuff, because as people we're smart, but I feel that sometimes being too smart is dangerous,
yeah.
you know
Because
uh
but I also
yeah,
feel like NFTs are interesting. Like, and I don't own any NFTs or anything. Like I don't even I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to NFTs. But I feel like the
me either.
concept I feel like the concept is interesting because it kind of it rectifies not a problem, but like the way music has been, for example, forever. Because if you compare like a song to like a painting, let's say. Hello? Yeah, there we go. If you compare a song to like a painting, for example, right? You can buy a song for like nothing, right? You can buy a song for like 50 cents on like Apple Music, or you can stream it for free. But you can't, if you're gonna buy a painting, you have to buy the painting. Like you could get like a napkin with Starry Night on it, and that's worth like 50 cents, whatever. But if you want Starry Night, you're gonna have to pay millions for it, you know? Because it's a unique thing. It's a one of a kind. And so I think that's I've always thought that was a really interesting concept of making like a unique album, let's say, right? You record an album and then there's only one copy of it. Like that's the only way of listening to it is if you own that copy. And with NFTs, I feel like that's kind of possible because it's kind of like you're selling your masters. You're selling like the original recording basically.
Yeah, geez, honestly, I'm a bit like outdated or underdated or whatever you want to say. Like I
Underdated.
was, I was like, what is this NFT? You know, I'm so
What is this
bad with
dark
like,
magic?
yeah, exactly. I was so bad with, incredibly bad with crypto coins and stocks and stuff, and now NFTs. I was like, what? What is this wizardry? Like, so I remember someone trying to explain it to me, and me just being there with a puzzled face, like, are you for real?
Well,
Like,
but I
people
feel like
are paying a million?
that's because I think it's in the early stages, you know? Because it's kind of like
Yeah.
VR, for example. Like I feel like VR definitely is the future for games. But as someone who's like set up a VR set before, I don't think it's at the phase where it's like it's the best thing for everyone because it's not at that level yet where it's like literally like, oh yeah, like I'm a like let's say you're a mom who doesn't know anything about games and you want to pick up like a VR set for your kid. Chances are you're not going to be able to like set it up by yourself, like realistically, you know. And
Yeah, we just wait a few years for
that's the
Elon
thing.
Musk
It's
to put
whenever
a
you,
little chip in our brain.
it's the thing is whenever you cross the threshold of it's like the general public can now handle this, you know.
For sure. And, you know, making a joke about a chip being in our brain, like, to be honest, chips will probably be in our brains.
Yeah, I mean
Because
like
it's just,
that's the thing.
yeah,
I definitely wouldn't be an early adopter of getting a chip in my brain, just
no.
because I feel like there's more consequences. Like if I'm an early adopter for a game, like if I buy into early access game, biggest consequence it's like, oh, I don't like this, or like, oh, it's not as good as I thought it would be, you know. But like with the chip thing, it's more serious. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I would or not, to be fair, because realistically, like in a few years, let's say like this becomes a real thing and like it's tested and approved and whatever, you know, like realistically, what is the difference from like just using a phone every day or whatever, you know?
Well, let's be honest. You see Facebook stealing our information. What's to say that a chip in our brain isn't going to steal
Your
our
thoughts?
information? Yeah. It's kind of, it's one thing I don't know how I feel about. I don't necessarily want anybody in my brain, and it's so serious. Like, what if somebody gets a hold of it and is able just to
What gets
blow
a
them
hold of
up?
your brain?
No, gets a hold of like a some kind of creepy device and to just like explode your brain.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, for sure.
I
Like, imagine like
don't want
you're
that.
arguing with someone, and then they like hack you. Like, they don't hack your computer; they hack you. Like,
Yeah, like honestly, it won't be people getting like spiked anymore. It'll be like people like hacking other people's chips in their
yeah,
brain to like pass them out and stuff. Like it's a bit scary to
yeah.
think of it. To be honest, it's
Well, I feel like
I
that's why it's not a thing yet. You know, that's why
well,
we're
it
not at
could
that
be
point yet.
in Futurama, in the next episode of Futurama.
Yeah,
It's honestly, it'll be like one of those things where maybe future it'll be a big thing, but for now, as somebody that's coming from a generation where, I had a flip phone
yeah,
for a while, I don't really want that. Like to be honest, you see all the kids nowadays and they're just like they're so high tech with technology and all
yeah.
that stuff. When I was like 5 years old, I was like sticking a crayon up my nose.
Yeah,
And
but
now they're able to
I
like
think that's really
use
interesting
loads of technology.
because we're like I feel like we are the last generation, or like anyone who's like similar age to us is the last generation to have experienced the world before like the internet took over. If you know what I mean? Because when I was born, the internet was already a thing, but not to the scale that it is now. You know, so like I feel like I kind of remember a place where technology wasn't the center focus of the world. You know, and everyone that came after
Same,
doesn't.
same. Like I remember, I was a kid that would go outside and play in mud and like take worms and mess around with them. Like that was that was like my generation. And now I look at the kids when I was my age going outside and doing that. They don't go outside anymore. They're playing roadblocks or something like that. I didn't really discover the internet till I was like 10, and
Yeah,
I didn't have a clue of really how it worked. It was like a whole like wow, like
yeah.
what is this? I can play My Little Pony games on a computer. Wow,
And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people like kind of like judge like kids nowadays because they're like on their phones all the time or whatever, but it's literally just like it's just how the world is nowadays, you know? There's nothing you can do about it. Like realistically, like if you were like in the 70s and they had smartphones, you would be on your smartphone because like the reason people use it is because it's convenient, because it's fun, you know? So it's not like you're gonna like shut yourself off and be like, no, I'm not gonna use this thing that I like, and I'm gonna go outside and play with worms. You know?
It's the way of the world, you know? It's you have like for fun nowadays what young people do is they make TikToks, you
Yeah,
know, and do random stuff like that, you know, that they think is fun. When me being younger, I would have definitely not been doing that. Or like I would have been playing Mario Kart on the Wii, you
yeah,
know? It's just it's I don't feel people should get annoyed at kids for being on smartphones because I just think it's life now.
yeah.
It's
I
I
love
know
and
people
I
back
like how
in the
like that
50s
wasn't
and
it
stuff.
wasn't that long ago if you think about it, but it's a very different mentality, you know? Because kind of like, oh no technology here. I just have a Wii, you know? Because like nowadays the Wii is like such a simple thing, but if you think about like when the Wii came out, that was also like a revolutionary concept for a game console, you know?
Oh yeah, you can like hit tennis balls using your hand, like without a tennis ball being in front of you. Like, wow.
Yeah, because and as someone who didn't have a Wii, I feel like I I always like hold it in high regard because the Wii wasn't an amazing console when it comes to graphics or whatever, but it did what no other console could do, where it brought people who never played games into playing games. Because if you have like I don't know someone who's never touched the game before and they like fishing, for example, right? If you tell them like, oh, here, come play this fishing game, and it's like they hold the controller and they press a button to fish, that's not really like why they like fishing. But if you're like, here, fish, and it's literally like, oh yeah, you hold this and like you throw it or whatever, it makes sense. You know what I mean?
Fun.
Yeah,
Mindless and fun.
mindless
Honestly,
and fun.
uh, that's honestly
That should
that's
have been
what
the
it
Wii
was.
marketing campaign. Wii mindless and fun.
What can I say? My statements are just revolutionary.
The
You
graphic
know,
designer in you is coming out.
graphic designer. What is it? Eat food, don't do drug, kids.
Yeah, and would you
You
say
know,
as a graphic designer, would you say you're better at marketing than the average person? Do you think like they go hand in hand?
uh, I'd I'd say I'm not amazing at advertising, but
No,
I
but I'm
enjoy
saying
to an
in no, but I'm
extent.
saying in general because I always picture graphic designing as like being related in a way to marketing, you know? Because I feel like if you're into graphic design, you have to kind of understand how people look at stuff, how people like relate. Like, I want to buy this because I saw this, you know, or whatever.
Oh yeah, like you have a fair point there that when it comes to graphic design, it's a lot of looking into the audience's head of what they're seeing or what they want to see.
Yeah,
And there is a strong advertising point there because one of the main things that graphic designers are known for is logos and posters.
yeah,
And they're big branding kind of things that advertise. You know, when graphic designers create branding, you know, it's all for advertisement.
mm,
It's all for the audience. It's all for people's eyes, really, to have a look at. Because, you know, that's basically what you're designing for, and you have to keep an eye on what the people want to see, you know?
yeah, no, for sure. And because I think that's a an area where like music, for example, is much more lacking. You know, I feel like people who are musicians are not equipped with the or not everyone, not generalizing, but I'm saying in general, if you're a musician, you're not naturally just equipped with tools to brand yourself, you know? Whereas if you're a graphic designer, I feel like you have those tools at your disposal, you know?
That's why we're here for people. At least we have a purpose, you know? We're here to be there for people that can't brand for themselves. We are basically the face of your branding.
Mm,
Like, cause we are there to, you come up with an idea, you're like, okay, I want a giant rocket ship flying through the sky. We're here to tell you if that's a load of crap, or
yeah.
we're here to tell you that's a brilliant idea. Let's keep going on it because it's a very much balanced thing when it comes to graphic designer because when you design especially you know that say if you create something that it's good and say they're like no 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 I want a monkey riding a dinosaur,
Yeah.
and we're like but your branding is about food, why do you want a monkey riding a dinosaur? And we're kind of there to be like the thought in the back of your head that kind of sways you to the right decision so
Yeah.
that you technically have something graphically correct.
Yeah. So you heard it here first, folks. If you want to advertise a rocket or a monkey riding a dinosaur, Larissa is the person to go to.
I am here for you. I should be a lawyer. Call your solicitor. Call me on some random number
Call
that
your
I don't know.
call you whenever you have any like legal issues. Like
When you have legal issues,
whenever you have any graphic design emergencies, call Larissa.
I'm here for you. When you think your business is not getting enough money, just come to me. I'll get them lots of money.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna have to wrap it up around now. But if you are interested in seeing Larissa's work, her social medias are gonna be listed down below. And if you're interested in knowing contacting her, getting her to do anything, I can tell you that the weirder the better. She will do it. Doesn't matter what your
I'm
idea
here for
is.
you.
Yeah,
I'm a
exactly.
people's person. I am here for you.
Exactly. Um, but yeah, thanks for coming on, and hopefully you will be back.
Yes, hopefully it'd
Mm.
be nice to dabble in some more rambling.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you later.
Bye.